Podcast where we delve into the heart of what truly matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go.
Hi there, and welcome to episode 2, Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. The first episode, we just introduced you to us. We talked about, our background, our history. So if you missed that, you might want to pick that up if you want to know who it is that's on the other side of this microphone. But we had our story last time. So this time we've got a story about another couple of families. Leslie, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the tale of two other families. This is right out of Randy's best-selling book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out. So we're going to have a little story time. So pull up your nap mat and pay attention. Here we go. This amazing story of two families spans several generations. Both trace their lineage back to two men who lived in colonial America. One called himself Jukes, but his name isn't so important. He was constantly coming up with a new alias to stay a step ahead of the law. Jukes was, according to his neighbors, a shiftless, lazy no-account. The little that he managed to scrape together was mostly gained by his marginal skills as a petty thief. However, Mr. Jukes was never clever enough to outwit the local sheriff. He was constantly in and out of jail. His wife was a woman of low morals who spent too much time in a drunken stupor. At the turn of the 20th century, a series of sociologists managed to uncover 1,200 descendants in the Jukes family tree. Some 300 were professional beggars. More than 100 were convicted criminals. 60 were thieves and pickpockets. At least 400 of them were drunkards or drug addicts. Another 7 were convicted murderers, although several more were suspects. More than 50 of them spent time in mental institutions. Of the 1,200 descendants discovered by educators, only 20 had ever learned a trade. Half who did learn their trade in prison. Fewer than 200 of Jukes' descendants finished high school, and none attended college. The Jukes family record was one of pauperism, prison, imbecility, insanity, prostitution, panhandling, drunkenness, and drug abuse. And if you go back and listen to my story, it kind of sounds like mine. One sociologist also studied the family tree of a colonial contemporary of Jukes. He was a preacher, as was his father and grandfather. Scholars say that he was the greatest theologian and philosopher ever produced by America. His dynamic preaching sparked a great spiritual awakening that birthed the American Revolution. Maybe you remember this third president of Princeton, the Reverend Jonathan Edwards, and his famous sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. But you may not have ever shaken his family tree to see what fell out. A total of 400 descendants have been traced to Jonathan Edwards and his wife, Sarah. Among them was a U.S. vice president, 3 U.S. senators, 3 governors, 3 mayors, 13 college and university presidents, and 30 judges. Around 65 of Edwards' progeny were college professors. Another 100 were ministers, missionaries, or seminary professors. 80 were public office holders. In his family tree, there were 100 lawyers and 60 medical doctors. Several descendants had written books, published newspapers, or been editors of journals. Until the beginning of the 20th century, listen to this, every major industry in America had as its founder or promoter an offspring of Jonathan and Sarah Edwards.
Wow.
Most families are a mixed bag of success and failures. Few are as dismal as Jukes' descendants or as stellar as Edwards' progeny, but the contrast cannot be missed. The lessons cannot be missed. Parents have a profound impact on their world for generations to come. the story of these two families shouts a message.
Yeah, what a powerful story. I love that. And that's why I included it in the book. And, it brings to me the question we ask people this at our conferences and we're talking with them. What's the tale of your family? I mean, as you look back historically, what's there? What's the facts, right? This is without judgment. We all, like I said, fewer is great or fewer is bad is what we just read about. But what is your family line story? And here's another question that's equally as important, probably more so. What will the story be as you look ahead to your kids, your grandchildren, your generations? And what can you do to help shape that future so that it looks more like the Edwards family and less like the Jukes family? And if there's any message, I think, Leslie, that shouts out of that is that parents' choices matter.
Mm-hmm.
What we do and don't do while we are parents matters. That we shape the character and the nature of our children, and that translates into what happens in our culture. So,
just in case you missed the last episode, we don't want anybody to be disqualified here because we did not start this work until our kids were grown. So I don't want anybody tuning out or saying it's too late for us or my kids are grown. It's not too late.
That's right. And today, what we really want to focus in on is what is the Family Reformation Project? The Family Reformation Project is a global movement to restore the family to God's design.
Yeah, we believe that everyone longs for a healthy family. And as we start doing family the way God designed, all of culture is transformed because culture flows downstream from family.
Yeah, and heaven is revealed when we do family God's way. When we do His will, His way, it's powerful and it works because He designed it that way.
Yeah.
And so the Family Reformation Project, what it is, it's our own journey with our family and our kids that were broken. We talked about that last time, and just really in a bad place, and how by going after God and learning how He does family and creating these tools and exercises and then doing them with our children, what happened is we began to heal and we began to be restored relationally to each other and to the Lord. And we began to get connected where we were disconnected. And we began to do family in the 6 patterns or protocols of the way that God does family. And as we've continued to do that now for somewhat 5 years, it is amazing to see. And out of that comes this response, this solution, if you will, for the family to the problem. And you don't have to look very far to see the problems today.
Just look at the headlines.
We've
got a mess.
Look at the headlines. Look at the culture. We've got gender and identity wars going on. We've got a public school system that is so against parental rights in many districts, not all, that it's absolutely wrong is right, right is wrong, good is bad, just like the Bible said it would be in the last days, by the way. And there is this swell movement, wokeism, and I don't want to be political, but if you look at the headlines, you look at the suicide rates, you look at the crime rates in our cities, you look at culture is falling. And it's because families have fallen first.
Yeah, we've got to understand that we could, and many do, blame the school system. They blame the political realm. They blame what arts and media is pumping out, or they blame the church. It goes on and on. But the truth is that the people that are leading these spheres, these gates of culture, all came from families.
Yeah. And so what do we do about that?
Yeah.
So first thing, I'd just like to ask you and let you think for a moment. What is the problem? What is the problem? We talk a lot about what's going wrong, right? All the fatherlessness stats, for example, incarceration stats and all the motherlessness, we see the crumbling of culture and family all around us. But if we were to say, okay, let's solve this, what is this? That's the question I asked the Lord, and I studied, and then ended up writing The Family Legacy, Shaping Culture from the Inside Out, how to lead your family, live your legacy, and shape culture in the process. And what I discovered in searching through, 8 civilizations, was the fall of the family was at the root. But at the root of the fall of the family were 3 things. This is the problem through the research. I write all about this in the book, in the workbook, in the e-course. Identity drift, coupled with the failure to self-govern well, and the choice not to steward the family as God designed. Now that's a mouthful, but let me break it down for you. Mm-hmm. Identity drift. The truth is, we don't know who we are. Go ahead and talk about that for a moment.
Well, if you think about a boat and an anchor that's down under the water, and it starts to drift, the anchor starts to loosen up, and it's not a sudden shift, but slowly that ship starts, going away. Its anchors come loose. We've disconnected from the Lord, and this boat finds itself way out in the sea. And that's what we believe has happened. And the truth is, the enemy of our souls has been going after identity since the beginning of time, all the way back to the garden, guys. The first thing he did was when he was deceiving Adam and Eve. Did God really say? So he was going after God's identity. And surely you won't die. You'll be, this is the big lie that started it all. If you eat from this tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you'll be like God.
Already.
They already were like God, because the word says he formed us out of the dust of the earth, and he breathed. It's raw. He breathed his very character and nature, his spirit, into mankind, and we became a living being. And the word says that he created us in his image, male and female. We already were like God. The original big fat lie right there. And nothing's new under the sun. He's still a liar. He's the father of lies.
So he jerked that anchor of identity loose in the garden, and generation after generation after generation, now you can identify with anything. And I'm not critical of these people, because God loves every person. And the truth is that so many people are deceived. And frankly, a lot of Christians are still deceived, because we haven't connected that the root problem is that we don't know who we are, and we don't know why we're here. And we can learn all the Bible stories and all the fun things, and if we don't understand that God in flesh is who we are, in his image, in his light. We were made for revelation and counsel and might. We were made to govern. And we're going to talk about more of that later, but identity drift's a number one problem. If we really knew who we were and who God is, that would address so much of what's gone wrong in the family and in the culture.
And we were created in the likeness of God, and also in the context of family. God is a family, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And we believe he created us because he wanted to be known. Mm-hmm. He wanted a family. And here's the good news. In the beginning, he created us in the form of a family. And it's a love story. If you read the Bible in context, and you read the whole story, at the end of the story, the groom comes back for the bride, and there's a family. Yeah. God is family. He is for families, for your family.
Yeah. So we're going to go on and on more about God's design for family, but let me talk quick about the problem and then the solution. Okay. Not only do we not know who we are and we have identity drift, but secondly, we have failed to self-govern well. In other words, we don't understand that we're spirit, mind, body, soul, spirit, will, and emotion. I'm sorry, mind, will, and emotion. The enemy, God, we don't understand the dynamics of how all of that works together, and we don't know how to govern. And more so, we're not teaching our children. By and large, there are places, thankfully, but by and large, we're not doing a good job teaching our children
who they are,
and how they can walk by the Spirit. That's the way of the kingdom. God's design was that he fills us up and we commune and we're one with him. And then we we have his mind and we have his heart, and we do things in agreement with him, and we govern the earth like heaven.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know how to govern ourselves well. Instead, we're led by our emotions, or we're led by our intellect, or we're led by our flesh, and we're led by the enemy, and we do not know how to govern, to direct the flow of our being so that we agree with God and how he thinks and how he feels and what he's doing and how he does it, so that we can be his family here on the earth. And this is a lot of the work. How do we know who we are? We have a whole protocol on identity. We have a whole protocol on self-governing. We call it the EQ protocol, but it is how
To walk
in the spirit. And finally, the third part of the problem is the choice. And this is important. I know you're sitting there in your car and whatever, your desk. Say the choice. The choice to not steward the family as God designed. Listen, you say, well, I didn't choose that. Well, either knowingly or unknowingly, if we have a problem in our families, it's because we're choosing not to do family God's way. God designed the family with a very clear design. I write about it in the book. And that's the heart of the FRP. The core is the book, The Family Legacy, the workbook, which is all of the exercises, 60 plus from the book, and the material laid out step by step how to actually do the exercises with your family.
Mm-hmm.
And then the e-course, which is over 9 hours of video that is each of these exercises with 5 or 10 minutes to help explain exactly what to do or how to do it. And that's the core of the curriculum. But what we're doing with that, and here's the vision of the Family Reformation Project. We have a vision to place a family coach in every church, every kingdom business, every neighborhood or family, so that there's somebody. You think, well, gosh, where do I go to family school? Where do I get help for my family? There's somebody that understands how God does family by his design, and how to use these exercises to bring our families to a place of healing and identity and growth and self-governing and ability to choose and actually do, not just theoretically or ideologically, but practically. Mm-hmm. How do I do that?
How do I speak the truth in love? How do I listen empathetically? How do I love without hooks? In other words, how do I forgive?
Yeah.
These are basic, the secular world calls them emotional intelligence. It's actually walking by the Spirit of God.
Yeah. And so in the Family Reformation Project, what we've done over these years is not only do this work with our families, but then we begin to do church conferences, and we begin to create classes and curriculum. Now we have the family school. If you go to thefamilyreformationproject.com, you can see the Family Reformation Project. You can see the family school. And then those people who are families are coming through the family school. Some of them are choosing to become certified coaches, certified family coaches that are equipped to coach families and to help them, train them in these exercises so they can restore their families. They do it in small groups, in churches, or any number of applications. Some businesses, kingdom businesses, are coming on and say, listen, we care about the families of our employees, and we want to help them. And so they serve them with a family coach who knows how to help them in the different kinds of crises that they have. And our vision, really, it's a global movement. I think there's 6 nations right now, and our work's being translated into Russian and into German. And we are really excited about the advance. But really, it's about how do we do family as God designed. Introducing the Family Digital Bundle, a powerful collection designed to transform your family's journey towards healing, growth, and thriving.
At the heart of this bundle is the best-selling book and workbook, The Family Legacy, Shaping Culture from the Inside Out, written by Dr. Randall Bixby.
With insightful wisdom and practical advice, these resources offer a roadmap for building a strong family legacy that shapes the culture of generations to come.
But that's not all. Our Family Digital Bundle includes an e-course, over 9 hours of how-to videos, equipping you with practical tools and expert guidance to help your family.
Imagine your family, a place where love, growth, and connection come together. Isn't it time to build a better family? If not now, when?
Invest in your family. Order the Family Digital Bundle today by clicking the link below or visit our website, thefamilyreformationproject.com. Throughout this podcast, we're going to be bringing you tools. And one that we want to deliver to you today is just a simple exercise of listening to prayer. And what that looks like is just pulling out a piece of paper and a writing implement and asking God, write it out, Father, or however you identify with the Godhead. What do you want me to know about my family? And you write your name, Leslie, I want you to know. And you just start writing what you hear, what you see, what you sense. God speaks to us in so many different ways. And so often we think of prayer as we're just asking God to do something. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's all different kinds of prayer, but the kind of prayer we're talking about is the prayer of inquiry. Why not ask the one who knows everything?
Yeah.
If you're finding yourself in a place like, man, my family's so messed up, it's too late for us. It's not too late for you.
That's right.
And God has a strategy to restore your family. But first, we need to get God's heart for our own families. So we really encourage you very soon, take the time, make the choice to get God's heart for your family. And the next steps will become clear. And we're going to help you with that. We are here with you. We care about the individual families all the way across the globe.
That's so good. And I want to say this. Some of you right now, you have so much pain or so much, honestly, deception. You think this won't work for my family. My family's too far gone. In fact, some of the excuses or the pushback that we get sometimes is people that are just in a place of, listen, I want to avoid this conflict. That's going to, if I do this with my family, there's going to be such conflict. They wouldn't understand. This is going to, listen, I just want to keep the peace. I'm not doing it. We've had pastors, a number of them, tell us, man, this is exactly what our church needs, but my family is such a mess. I don't want to bring this because it will
expose me.
Of course, they didn't use that word, but yeah, I mean, and it's no judgment. It's just,
it is what it is, guys. But we have a way, we have a path forward. It's worked in our own family. Randy shared this in his story, our story in the first episode. One of our kids was an active Satanist. Like we still have a couple of prodigals out there, but our family has been restored. We have seen the goodness of God this side of heaven in the land of the living. And you can too.
I want to say this. I forgot to mention this earlier. The thing that is different, this is not just a Sunday school curriculum. The thing that's different about this is these are crafted experiences that you have with your family that include a wholehearted biblical worldview. This is grounded in the truth. The coach approach to family, which is the way Jesus showed up. He drew out of people what was in them. He caused them to come to a place of having a revelation. And that's what these exercises do. They bring revelation that you actually get to see the thinking that's going on underneath the mess. And then you're given tools to change that thinking, to agree with God and be free, be healed, be restored, right? Not only that, but the experiential nature of these exercises is the very training ground for how we train our kids and our grandkids, our generations. It's just one of the biggest things we've done wrong. And I did it wrong for years and years and years. Is I just thought I send the kids to Sunday school to hear about God. We'll be in church every Sunday and Wednesday. They'll hear about God. Even I was a minister and I did a little more than that at times. But the truth was that wasn't near enough, not even for them, let alone equipping them to disciple their children, my grandchildren.
We believe that true legacy is passing on the character and nature of God. There's the big buildings and the bridges and stuff that we attach our names to, and we call that legacy. But that's just the fruit. The real legacy is, what are we passing on generationally? So
that's so good. And how do you pass on God's love and his courage and faith and, patience? And well, it's a different road than just giving some knowledge. You don't know your way to intimacy and oneness with God. You don't. You have a revelation, you do know something, but then you become something and then you do something. Know, be, do. That transformation that has to happen. It does start with some heart thinking, but it goes way beyond that. And that's why the exercises, the family school, training certified family coaches, and getting the word out there, in conferences, all the stuff that we do. Listen, we want to help your family. We want to be here for you, and we're committed to giving you tools. So go back to the tool, the listening prayer. I dare you. Listen to God about what he wants you to know about your family today. You might be surprised how good and how great his plans are for your family, no matter the place they're at.
Listen, if you want more on the Family Reformation Project, again, you can go to thefamilyreformationproject.com. Don't do .org. You're going to get a completely different program. It's thefamilyreformationproject.com. And we encourage you, please download this podcast, share it with your friends, follow us. We really want to get the messaging out there. Let's heal our families.
Yeah, we are excited about our next episode. We have who's one of my newest and best friends. I really love this guy, Jared Lasky. He's an amazing guy. We'll tell you about him, but he's got a ministry, Fireborn Ministries, in his podcast that's very, very popular called Adventures in the Spirit. He's going to be our guest on the program tomorrow, and I hope you'll join us. God bless. Remember, whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
We'll see you later. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3, wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end.